All right, well, I did it, you guys. I read all 12 volumes of Perfect World and I loved it. Every single volume. So I came across this manga one day online, decided to try it out, and I honestly did not think that I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did, nor did I think that I would be buying the second volume shortly after, or the third or the fourth. Welcome to the first Manga Mondays on my channel. So for Perfect World, we start with volume 1. Right as I started reading it, I was like, wow, I did not expect us to just get into it right away. Ayukawa and Kowana wind up meeting for the first time in years, and they just get right into the story. So I was really shocked that it started very quickly right away, but I really did like it. The other thing that I loved about volume 1, which is something that happens in every volume, is that there's so much content within one single volume. So I was really surprised. Honestly, I'm still very new to manga. I'm just more recently getting into collecting manga. I do have some other mangas on my shelf next to me. I only have like the full set of like Princess Jellyfish, and now I have the full set of Perfect World. I just feel like this manga specifically had so much content within one single volume. There was just so much going on. I could definitely see this being an anime that has 24 episodes. I don't even know what I want to talk about specifically when it comes to Perfect World, other than I just really did love it. I enjoyed everything about it, and I just finished it yesterday. So I'm happy about it that I finished it and that it was like, it finished on a positive note, but at the same time, I'm so sad that it's over. So in volume 1, we do get a lot of backstory about Kowana and Ayukawa and how they used to know each other in school, and what things were like before they met again. I just love that we get this motif of this cherry blossom painting. And within volume 1, we're introduced to a lot of the hardships that Ayukawa has been through, that he is continuously going through, how a lot of places aren't really wheelchair friendly. Even with his disability, he still does basketball. We learned that as well. And we also learned that he does not want a relationship, right? He has closed himself off from ever having any kind of romantic relationship ever again. By the end of volume 1, I was like, oh my gosh, they kissed? I gotta know what happens next. I gotta get the second volume. This first volume had me reeled in. Every other volume, same thing, had me reeled in. It had my full undivided attention. We also get introduced to Maika and Haruto, and we start to see how Ayukawa is kind of able to help out Haruto. What I liked is that we get to see like different variations as well of people and their relationships in their daily lives, as like wheelchair users and even people with other disabilities. For example, at the very end of the series, volume 11 and 12, by then we see that there's Ayukawa and there is Kowana, there's Haruto and his girlfriend, Koreta and his girlfriend as well. She has a disability too. And so we get to see the way that people live their life with their disability, and whether that's like romantically or just like, their daily life, how they go about it. And also how sometimes there are places that aren't barrier free, and how they cope with that and how society views them. And so we're able to see like a lot of different people and how they go about that by the end of the volumes. Volume 2, I was like so happy reading it. I mean, Ayukawa wind up giving Kowana this really beautiful necklace, and I was just so happy reading it, you guys. It was great. Oh, and then we get the little kitty. We get the little kitty, Kenzo. It's so cute. And he thinks that like Kenzo ran away, but he didn't. He's just in his dresser. They really didn't sugarcoat things with this series. It wasn't just, oh, and they lived happily ever after. At the end, they got through it. They understood each other. It's like, no, even when they're together, there are new hardships that they have to face every now and then. And even with the happy ending, Ayukawa probably will have other issues down the road too. Become a little bit weaker, kind of like that one other, I forgot his name, but I think he was like one of the coaches for the basketball team, him and his wife. And he was already mentioning how he used to do like surfboarding and stuff. He was very active, even with using a wheelchair. And now that he's a little bit older, he feels like he's gotten a little bit weaker. He doesn't have as much energy. And so even though we did get the happy ending, there's still all these other hardships that Kowana and Ayukawa are gonna have to face still. But let's just focus on the happy ending for now, okay? But then, everything's going well, but then Kowana winds up telling her family that she's dating Ayukawa, and they do not like the idea of that at all. Then we also get introduced to two other characters, which I think is also in this volume. We also get introduced to Coretta. Now here's the thing about Coretta. I don't know if I should say this now or later, because I'm kind of going to be jumping around if I say it now, but the thing about Coretta is that he has really good characteristics, I think I want to say, I'm not sure. He has really good qualities about himself, right? He has some really good qualities, you know, and he's very helpful. Even, you know, he really comes in handy. He's a very helpful person, very thoughtful in a way, but I feel like these qualities that he has, even though they could be redeeming qualities, I cannot view him as someone who has been redeemed at all, ever. And we'll get to that in a little bit. And I thought, if anything, maybe Coretta would wind up being a character who does help out a lot and who befriends, you know, Kawana and Ayokawa and is generally just a good friend. You know, no intention for like, no deep down desire of wanting to be in a relationship with her or anything, but I was wrong. He is a very helpful character. He does come in handy for sure, but he still forces his way into being in a relationship with Kawana, which again, we'll get to in a little bit. Don't even get me started with Nagasawa. I cannot stand Nagasawa, and I'm so upset. I was waiting, you guys, for Kawana to tell Nagasawa off. Like, I was waiting for her to slap her, to yell at her, to do something, but she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. You know, I guess maybe that would be out of character for her, but I was really hoping that someone would do it. Someone would slap her across the face and really put her in her spot. I was even hoping that Ayokawa would say something and be like, hey, I do not like the way you're talking about my girlfriend, you know, because this is like the scene where she starts to be like, she tries to put Kawana in her place, and I'm just like, hold on, what is going on? So it really bothered me because I was just like, who is she and why is she speaking to her like that? And I'm guessing that Ayokawa doesn't overhear what's happening, but in like the other volumes, you do get to Nagasawa and Ayokawa talking about like, okay, like, why are you saying these things about Kawana? Why are you saying, you know, like, why are you acting this way? It does kind of come down to that, but I still didn't like how he was like, oh, like, you're someone that can still be in my life. Like, no. He also never found out that she kissed him while he was asleep. While he was asleep, while he's going through all these things, and, you know, she kissed him without his consent and he was asleep, and she had these feelings for him even though she was supposed to be taking care of him. She was working for him and she was doing these things. She's just a weirdo, you guys. She's a weirdo. I do not like her, and I need someone to slap her. I honestly did not think that Nagasawa needed to be in this manga for as long as she was, mostly because I was just done with her, you know? I was just really done with her. But yeah, I think they could have written her off a little bit sooner because we already had the whole thing with Coretta anyway. So I feel like both of those terrible characters at the same time, terrible as in I just hate them, not poorly written, I just hate them both. Mostly Nagasawa though. And I expected them to end up together because they were both, you know, forcing their feelings onto other people and being little creepy creeps that they are. But by the end of volume 2, Coretta is like hugging. He hugs her. I'll show you right now, you guys. He hugs her. He like pulls her in for a hug. He pulls her in for a hug. And like, she's like, what is going on? You know, she doesn't understand what's going on. We even have this little Kenzo kitty who is also deeply confused. He's like, what's happening? I can't believe, like, I just saw the ending of this. Obviously I read it, but like, you know, I'm looking back at this and I see the ending of it and I was like, oh my gosh, is this where she falls into the tracks? It was volume 2. I can't believe that it was in volume 2 that happened. That's what I mean when I'm talking about there's so much content within these volumes. Like, it was volume 2 that she fell on the tracks, not volume 5, volume 2. It feels like it was like volume 5 though. So we get to volume 3 and everything just, this is where like the heartbreak sets in, the frustration set in. the stress, everything. But yeah, Kawana's parents do not treat Ayukawa nice at all. They're terrible to him. And on top of that, Nagasawa is terrible to Kawana again. And then we get to the very end of the volume, and I kind of felt like this was coming when he was like, you know, gonna take Kawana on this little trip, right? They're gonna go on this Ferris wheel and everything. But I was like, no, he seems like he's in a really good mood. I don't think anything like that would happen. But no, he does break up with her. So I was really sad about that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why is it? You know when like stuff like that starts to happen in a show, whether it's like an anime or a K-drama or something, and you're just like, is this necessary? Can we just get back to the happy times? You know, you don't want any of that conflict in there. So yeah, they broke up by the end of volume 3. I felt like they were away from each other way too long, okay? Like I needed that. I think they got back together in 6 or 7. I think in 7. So, you know, they break up and then they get into the whole backstory with Coretta. And I thought it was really nice that, you know, he was the one that saved her painting. But that still does not make what he did right, you know? And then you have Nagasawa over here being like, forget about her. She's not right for you and stuff. I just do not like her. I don't know one person, actually, I don't know anyone else who's read this, like not personally, but like, if I were to ever come across someone who's like, oh, I love Nagasawa, I'd be like, huh? That's weird. And then we also get to like the dad and him being ill, right? Oh my gosh, this whole thing made me so upset because we get to, I'm sure that this was very, very intentional, but like the fact that the dad became ill and the mom was like, oh, can you come home? You know, maybe he'll feel a little bit better if you come home. And it kind of works out too because Kawana has already been broken up with, and you know, she just needs to have a little breakaway in her hometown, you know, in the countryside. So that does make sense. But it's just the fact that her mom and dad are like, oh, he's ruining your life, and you know, about Ayukawa, and that she's gonna have to change so much about her life, right? But then the parents are doing the exact same thing. They're like, oh, can you come home? Because I think your dad will feel a lot better if you come home. So now, you know, she's expected to leave her job that she works very hard for to get, and everything that she knew in Tokyo, and has to go back home, which I know winds up working out because she was just broken up with, and this is her moment to just kind of like re-find herself as well. But it's just the fact that like the parents are very contradicting, because then the dad does have more of an understanding of what Ayukawa is going through, which then leads to him being like, I don't want you to be with him because I see what your mom is going through with me, and you know, stuff like that. But it was still just so frustrating, you know? I'm like, you guys are making her change her life for you too. Oh my gosh. And then we get to the scene with Coretta. He's like, you know, I like her, but I'm gonna be super patient and wait until she's ready, until she's healed from this breakup with Ayukawa. But then he finds out that she's leaving, so then he's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna be so selfish and just tell her how I feel and kiss her. You know, I'm just gonna kiss her and tell her to accept my feelings. What does that do? That just makes Kawana confused. And she's already going through so many different emotions, so many different thoughts. Her dad, Ayukawa, you know, them both not doing well, and the dad not being accepting of the relationship, and her just getting broken up, but she's going through so much, you know, and her trying to refine herself. He is just so selfish. Coretta is so selfish. So he kisses her, and poor Kawana is so confused. She's being taken advantage of, and she's just so confused with everything that's going on, everything that's been happening in her life. So she's like, well, I guess so. You know, she has her heart broken. She needs to move on. She's going through all this other stuff. She's confused, you guys. She's confused. So then she winds up with Coretta. Again, something that I really dislike about anime characters sometimes is when I know they're characters in a manga, but something I just notice a lot within like anime itself is that there will be characters who are like, okay, I know you don't like me. I know you don't have feelings for me. I know you have feelings for this other person, but I want you to still be with me because it's what I want. And I know that eventually you might like me, possibly like me. And then once they see that person still crushing over, you know, their crush and not really vibing with them, then they get upset about it. And I'm like, she told you, or he told, you know, they told you that they didn't like you like that, that they have feelings for this person, and you're forcing them into this relationship with you. So why are you upset? It feels so nice to be able to vent all this with you guys. It really, really does. But yeah, they get together. And then Ayukawa is like, oh wait, I do love you. I do want to be with you, when she's about to board the train. But then Kawana again is confused, you know. If he would have just not broken up with her, I mean, I understand, you know, he's going, it's still a process for him, of course. But if like they just did not get together, if Coretta just did not come along, then they could have gotten back together in volume 4, you guys. So then, you know, they're together, blah, 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 blah. I do not know how long this video is, and I'm barely going over volume 5. So I'm gonna try my best to hurry, but still say everything that I want to say. So then we get Coretta, you know, he's here and there. Oh my gosh. Yes, we get to this scene right here. Nagasawa goat. Oh, volume 5 made me angry, you guys. It made me angry. So in volume 5, right away, Nagasawa goes out and she goes to visit Kawana, you know. Ooh, I'm so happy for her. Yeah, right. She's not happy for her. She's just happy that she's out of the way temporarily, right? And so she goes out there and she tries to be like, yeah, he and, you know, Ayukawa and I are in a relationship. They were not in a relationship, okay? He might have tried to take her out on a little date later on, but that was later. That was like later, I think, in volume 5. She says this stuff before any of that even happens, I think. And so, again, Ayukawa never even found out about that either. She's a terrible person, and I really wish that he would have. I know she helped him so much, but I wish they would have still had him be kind of upset with her because of everything that she's done. It's just not okay, you know. But then also Coretta, he comes by and he's just like not wanting. Oh, I think he also does that later on when Kawana is working with Ayukawa. He starts like coming by and stuff, and I just was so bothered by that. It made me so mad. Well, not mad, but it just really annoyed me. So yeah, and she's like, yeah, we're dating now. No, you were not dating. You guys did not get to have that happen. We get to Katie, we get to Keigo. They're a really cute couple. She also has her own illness, and she's also in a wheelchair. And so we get introduced to their story. And I think what's really nice about this series too is that we're introduced to, although we have Kawana and Ayukawa as the main characters, we're introduced to a lot of other characters as well, and how they're affected with their own illnesses, disabilities, being in a wheelchair. You know, we get to see we get to see about their story as well, and how they deal with it, and the people around them, how they may be affected by it as well. But also Ayukawa feels responsible for that darkness in Nagasawa's heart. He feels responsible for it. So don't think he actually likes you, Nagasawa. He doesn't. He just felt bad for you. That's why he was trying to take you out that one time. And thankfully, he didn't get to actually take her out either. So that made me happy. I was like, oh yeah, they're not gonna go on that date. All right, you guys, we were halfway through. I just didn't want to miss out on like talking about anything I wanted to talk about, which is why I'm going through everyone. And Keigo is like trying to get his house built for him and Katie, and it was just so sad, you guys. Their story, it's beautiful, but it's so sad at the same time. But she did live a lot longer than she was supposed to, you know. She lived like an extra 3 years, I think, but it's still just so sad. Like I really wanted there to be a lot of like happy end, like a lot of like of these happy endings, like even for her, because we did have good happy endings here and there, but like, man, I just felt really bad though about Katie though. And then we get to the very end of the volume and there's an earthquake, and I don't know why I'm smiling like a freaking lunatic right now, but the reason why I'm smiling is because the next volume is actually like, we move forward with these two finally in the next volume. It leads to us moving forward with the two of them. But oh my gosh, so volume 6 was like the last volume that I had ordered. I didn't order like the next ones after that. I wasn't able to read it right away. So we got to the earthquake and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming at all. I really do appreciate how they threw in these different kind of scenarios every now and then where it's not really predictable, but it's also something that I just felt like it was really good that they threw that in there, like the earthquake was as well, because it does show that, you know, he was trying to, what we see in the next volume, you know, Ayukawa was calling out for help and trying to help himself, but he wound up just, you know, yelling for help. No one came along until later, and he wound up passing out because he was just so tired from, you know, shouting for help. So yeah, Keigo and Kawana wind up going to Ayukawa's parents' house, and his parents aren't there. And so poor Ayukawa, like, he was trying to get himself to safety. He was shouting for the longest time. No one heard him, or if they heard him, they were just all for themselves, you know? And so, man, that was just, it was just a crazy, like, the end of volume 5 and then the end of volume 6 and then volume 7 over here, like, that was just insane. I did not see any of that coming. And yeah, this whole thing brought Kawana and him together a little bit more as well. They got to spend a little bit more time together, which, you know, I was kind of happy about that. And then Nagasawa and Kureta, they're stuck together, which I was like, good, we don't need them there. Which is also why I kind of thought that they were going to make them wind up together, but they didn't wind up together. But then, you know, they wind up spending a little time together. So of course, you know, I was kicking my feet. I was like, oh my gosh, finally. But like, it wasn't anything romantic, you know, they weren't together like in a relationship or anything like that. But they did have like their little cute moments. Oh, and then we get to Maika and Haruto breaking up. I was like, man, I really thought that they would wind up together, especially in volume 12. I really thought they were gonna wind up together, but I guess it all still kind of worked out, you know? Oh, this part was really good. Okay, so there's this part that I'm gonna show you. I don't know who was calling who, but I was just out picking up some fancy wine. You wanna come over? Click. Click. And we think she's going over to Kureta's, but she's not. She's over at Ayukawa's. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was so freaking happy. I'm sorry, I can't make it. She doesn't want you. Then she's like, I've been thinking about like how I have regrets about, you know, how things went, how they broke up. So finally, you guys, by the end of volume 7, things are looking bright. Finally. To me, they were without each other for way too long. Like, I know they still had their little interactions and stuff because they're working together, but I just felt like they were broken up way too long, or more like they had, you know, Nagasawa in there for way too long. Kureta was in there way too long. And then we get to volume 8, and then we have Kenzo. Kenzo pops up in volume 8, and then we get this scene right here. And then we get to this scene. I think it's just better if I show you. We get to this scene right here. Oops. And then he starts saying that he has regrets too. And then he says he loves her. As long as I have you, my world is perfect. Perfect world. And then we get the two sinister people, just like so sad, you know, because Ayukawa is back together with Kawana, but then also Nagasawa has to come face to face with the fact that she really does have no chance. She had no chance in the beginning. She had no chance at all, but she thought she did. I just do not like her, you guys. I do not like her one bit. I really don't. And like the thing with Kureta is that he's so self-aware, but he's still so selfish, you know? He's called himself selfish too, I'm sure, but he's like so self-aware, but yet he's so selfish. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat licking himself. He just decided it was the right time to do that, and he's like really close to my camera, so I'm so sorry. Oh, and also Kawana does take classes. That's how she meets Keigo, but she takes classes to try to, I forgot the exact class it was, but it would be so she's able to help nurse Ayukawa. And so she's like a little bit more familiar with how things are too when it comes to him and helping him. And then we get to Katie. I want to say it's Kaide. Kaide? I think it's Kaide. So we get to Kaide / Katie and Keigo. We get to their wedding, and I'm just so glad that they were able to have their wedding. But it's so sad because we get these one characters. I don't know exactly who the characters were, But there are these men right here, and they were just like, one of them was like, well, what's the point if she's gonna die soon anyway? That was just freaking terrible. And then we get to Ayukawa. He's ready to have a talk with Kawana's dad. And that's the end of volume 8. You guys, we are almost there. We're almost done. I can almost go eat some dinner. I don't know. Obviously, I had to quickly finish reading 9. I don't know if I had 9 with me or if I had to order it. Yeah, I think I might have just like, yeah, I think I ordered 9 separately. So Ayukawa keeps coming back to see Kawana's dad until he finally will listen to him, right? And he winds up getting this little snack for him. I forgot what it's called, but he winds up getting this little snack for him right here. It looks delicious. And that's when he starts thinking about things, and he just views things a little bit more differently. I mean, he still says that like, oh, you're a sincere man. I'm sorry. I think he says he's sorry about like how he treated him, because, you know, now he's in a wheelchair too. But because of how his wife, her health is deteriorating as well, because she's helping him so much. So because of that, he's like, that's why I can't give you my blessing to be with Kawana. And although I still think that it's terrible that they were not accepting of them and were as mean to them as they were as well, I feel like I would have been just like a teeny bit less mad if they would have kind of said this first, you know? But he also wasn't in that stage of his health at all either, you know? But I feel like in the beginning, I was just like, oh, I hate the parents so much. But when we get to this part, I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess I could see why he'd be worried, you know, about Kawana's health deteriorating as well, you know, because he sees his wife's health deteriorating because she's helping him so much. But I still think they should have just given them their blessing, you know, from the get. Like Kawana is happy with him. Why would you want her to be in a relationship with someone that she doesn't love, you know, and that she's not happy with, you know? Like, why would you want that for her? But we finally get to the dad being a little bit more respectful to Ayukawa though, even though he doesn't give him the blessing. But then we get to the dad, and he's like, he stands up, and then he was like falling down. I think they said he had a stroke of some kind. Well, that's when that happens, huh? So like things are looking bad for the dad, but then Ayukawa and Kawana go into the hospital room. So they go into the hospital room, and the dad is like hearing everything that they're saying. And so that kind of brings him back to life, you know? Well, he didn't die exactly, but like in that moment at least, but he was about to. And so they kind of like everything that they were saying kind of brought him back. And then he was also like, in that moment, he saw how Ayukawa was caring for Kawana, and that kind of changed his mind about things. And I think him just having that near-death experience as well kind of changed his mind. But then, you know, they have a whole talk, and then he winds up giving them their blessing. He wants to see Tsugumi, aka Kawana, in her wedding dress, and he thankfully gets to do that. And I'm so glad that they also let him see that happen, though. It definitely was like a whole emotion, and like a whole roller coaster of emotion with the parents, for Kawana and for Ayukawa, but also for the readers. Like, I was just like, I had this hatred for her parents so much, but then I was like, oh, okay, I could see their worry, their concern, but still they're being mean. They should just let them be happy, you know? Like, it's their life. And then, you know, this stuff happens with her dad. He almost dies, and then you're like all emotional about it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, I hope he pulls through. And then he does pull through, and then he gives them his blessing, and you're like, yay, I like you now. And then you guys, oh my gosh, I think it was this volume, it just made me tear up so much. There's so much going on, so many emotions that you go through, but seeing them like this, Kawana is so pretty. Like, she is just so pretty. I was so happy to see her in her wedding dress. And then Ayukawa, oh my gosh, like, again, just so many emotions. Volume 9 was just so good. Oh my gosh. And then look at all this. Oh, this is so cute. This was just so, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And then one of the characters is like, and I thought you usually threw rice at a wedding, but instead it's what? The cherry blossoms. Like, is that not perfect? To me, that is perfect. So perfect. And And then we get to volume 10 and they start thinking about having a kid. This one was pretty crazy, you guys. They started thinking about having a kid and Kawana winds up going through a different way to try to have kids, right? And so she's having to do these procedures. I don't exactly know what it's called. Trying to have a kid, right? And they have to go about having a kid a little differently. And so it really puts her through a lot of different emotions, lots of different thoughts. And she winds up kind of lashing out at times because it's a very frustrating thing that she's experiencing as well. But then there was this one woman that she wound up talking to who was friends with another person that she knows. I forgot her name, I'm sorry. But she winds up talking to her again later on in the volume, towards the end of the volume. And she winds up mentioning going to adopt a baby instead through a special adoption. And so Kawana is, you know, that's kind of at the back of her mind. She's kind of like, well, maybe having a baby isn't, you know, maybe that story has not come to an end yet. So then she winds up bringing it up to Ayakawa and they start looking into it, you know, a little bit more. Volume 11. So then they wind up going to see someone about the special adoptions and they start taking the classes that they need to take and they start trying to decide like, well, first it was decided that Kawana was going to be the one to take the parental leave. But then Ayakawa was like, you know, Kawana wound up getting this other opportunity. So then Ayakawa was like, wait a minute, like, I'll go ahead and take the parental leave. He's wrapping up some of his other projects anyway. And then Ayakawa's mom winds up helping out. So that was really nice. I'm so glad that she has like a good mother-in-law too. But then they wind up going to see the little baby boy that they're adopting. And, you know, that's just like a whole new chapter for both of them. And it was just so sweet, you guys. Like, even though this is just a manga, I feel like I'm able to see these characters grow. And so I feel just like kind of sentimental. And then we learn that Coretta is actually going to be in a relationship with someone else. Thankfully, you know, finally. It's someone single, someone he's not trying to steal away. Nagasawa, I guess, is still single, but she's still, you know, doing nursing. Okay, and then we get to the last volume. Look at this cover. This is so cute. I love when mangas throw in these kind of photos right here. Like, this just the way the page feels. I love it so much. And then we get to, I think his name's Koki. We get to him being a little bit older. And I think they said he was like 4 or something at this point. But then, you know, he's a little bit older and they start thinking about, okay, like, when are we going to tell him that he's adopted? We have to tell him at some point. So they finally get to go up to that one, was it a lighthouse? There's this one place. Let me look for it. At one point, Ayakawa even dropped Koki, and his mom was there, so she was able to help him pick him up. And she was like, you know, sometimes things like that happen, and like, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've fallen down as a baby too at some point. I'm sure someone dropped me at some point when I was a baby. But then something at the back of Ayakawa's mind is how Koki is going to be viewing him later on in life. You know, once he sees that, he mentions like sports festivals and seeing the other parents being able to participate, but him having to participate a little differently. And like, he didn't want him to be so focused on his dad having this disability and revolving his life around it entirely, because he's seen how much Koki even helps with like getting the wheelchair out and stuff. So that kind of becomes like a little worry of his. So they start thinking about how they can tell Koki that he's adopted. And of course they're worried about how he's going to respond, not just now, but also like in the, you know, in the future as well when he's older. So yeah, the place is called Enoshima. There's a lighthouse there that Ayakawa went to with his dad when he was little. And so he didn't get to go up there last time with Kawana because, you know, it's not barrier free. So Kawana is like, oh, well, you know, she winds up taking the opportunity to ask the people that are helping here. She asked them like, would it be possible to get him up there? And then they offer their help. So then they're able to go up there. And while they're up there, they're able to tell Koki that he's adopted. And they're just like, well, we're not exactly sure if he understood exactly what we said. and how he'll feel about it in the future, but you know, that they're just trying to enjoy their time together as a family in the present. We also get to Haruto's wedding, and man, his character has come a long way too. And we get to Micah. I think she's still, yeah, she says she's just focusing on work. I kind of feel like, I really did think they were gonna wind up together, so, but I feel like, I don't know, I'm not mad that they're not together though. I was like, oh, like I kind of thought they would have just had them be together, but I think this other girl seems really nice too though. They kind of go back and like talk about like the library when they would meet up and stuff, and then they wind up at the airport as a family because they're going to take a trip to Paris because Ayakawa has this opportunity to speak about his experience of, you know, being in a wheelchair and how things aren't barrier free. And we get this cute photo at the end of all of them together. And that's it. That's the end of it. I cannot believe that I read all 12 volumes, and that, again, there is so much material within every single volume. You really do get your money's worth when you buy these. And again, like I mentioned before, I'm definitely rereading these for sure. Right now, I feel like it's happily ever after, so I'm just gonna not reread it for the time being, but I will eventually, probably sometime this year. As of right now, again, like I said, I haven't read too many manga, but as much as I love Princess Jellyfish, like that's still my favorite anime, but I think Perfect World is actually my favorite manga right now. I really did not think that I was going to enjoy this series as much as I was going to enjoy it. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, obviously I read what it was going to be about, so it sounded interesting, so I decided to, you know, see what volume 1 was going to be like. But you know, I decided to give it a try, and I wound up really liking it. It caught my attention right away. Like by the end of volume 1, I was like, oh, this is good, I need the next volume. Love that they were able to reel me in that quickly. With me having spoiled everything in this review, I still highly recommend reading it for yourself. You know, it's one thing to listen to a review, it's another thing to read it for yourself and to get your own opinions on it. Then you can come back here, we could talk about how much we do not like Kureta or Nagasawa and how terrible the people they are. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to mention about it, but I don't know. If I do, I can always add it into the comment section, just pin it. But yeah, if you've read Perfect World, leave some comments down below. I want to know what you think it is. This is a book club, so I want to know what your thoughts are. And if you haven't read it yet, but you're interested in reading it, let me know as well. Like, I want to know if you're excited about picking up a copy. But yeah, who's your favorite character? Who do you like the least? I was so afraid they were gonna kill off Ayukawa towards the end. I was like, no, after everything they went through, you're not gonna kill him off like that, no. But I was also worried that like they were gonna kill off Kenzo because, you know, he's getting a little older. So I know cats can live a long time, but I was kind of worried about that. I was just like, please don't kill him off. Please do not kill off Kenzo. I love Kenzo. But anyways, thank you so much, you guys, for listening to this book club review of Perfect World. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video. I can't wait to see you in the next book club. Bye.